Welcome to the Airgun Show. This week I'm taking a look at an affordable gas ram airgun and scope combo in the shape of the Ruger Targis Hunter from Umarex. But first up, I'm back on the grey squirrels and we managed to capture the action both through our main cameras and on the scope cam. Right, I'm back out in the woods where I was squirrel shooting a few weeks ago. Now that turned out to be a brilliant session. I think I shot about a dozen squirrels. It's slowing down a little bit here now, as I would hope, because obviously I've been making a dent in the squirrel numbers, but looking at the rate that the feed's still going down from the feeders, there's still some work to be done here. So I've come back for another go at them today, but I just want to do something a little bit different. So what I've done today is set up with the scope cam so that you can also see the shots as I take them. The kit I'm going to be using today is pretty much my standard hide shooting setup now. It certainly has been this year. It's the FX Impact Mark II, and being such a compact bullpup, it is absolutely brilliant in the hide. It's just a nice stubby gun for handling behind that camo blind. That is paired with the MTC Mamba light scope, and it's held on with sports match scope mounts. One thing I mentioned before is the fact I've changed calibers on this one from 177 to 22, which seems to be really doing the business on the squirrels, and it's shooting ever so well with Air Arms Diablo field pellets. And obviously the only other piece of kit is the side shot phone attachment for me to get that scope cam footage. So that's the gear, let's get into the hide. Right, I've got myself settled in and the tactics are almost identical to last time. The only slight change is that I'm wearing a head net today. Now, the last time we filmed here, the squirrels were very bold, were literally queuing up for the feeder, so I didn't have to worry quite so much about concealment. The remaining squirrels now, they've seen a bit of shooting pressure, so I just want to make sure that I'm properly covered up. In terms of the hide, that's the same setup as before, and it's just two screens. It's very basic. I've got a screen at the front, one at the back. Obviously the one at the front's providing my main cover. The one behind is just to stop me from being too much silhouetted if I move beyond the cover that I get from the tree trunk behind me. Obviously having no sides is a great asset for us in terms of filming. It's fine for squirrels. It's probably not enough concealment if I were targeting something like wood pigeons, crows or magpies. Today the best thing I can really do in terms of stealth is to keep quiet. So I'm going to shut up now and hopefully we'll see a few squirrels. There may be less squirrels around now, but we don't have to wait very long for this morning's first arrival. That's a good start. That one was absolutely noshing away at the feeder. Certainly didn't really seem to be aware of us being here. It was a really good clean kill to start on, and I don't think it's going to be the last squirrel that we see this morning. And that sort of behaviour, although frustrating, it's not unusual to see at a feeding station once you've had a few fairly productive shooting sessions. It stands to reason that the remaining squirrels, they've witnessed a few losses, they're a lot more wary, and that one was certainly reluctant to hang around for too long. Hopefully, the draw of the feed will soon bring it back.
And sure enough, we soon have another chance as a squirrel clambers down to raid the feeder.
Now, I don't know for sure, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if that was the same squirrel that had come in and darted back off again, because it was initially reluctant to settle. It did eventually stop and offer me a shot, which proved to be its downfall. And I also noticed, just as I took the shot, there was another squirrel on the tree trunk. It's bolted off, but I expect it will creep back again pretty soon. That was another one that was initially just reluctant to settle on the feeder until it really buried its head in the feed. Now, one thing that is quite interesting that I've noticed is that they're behaving a little bit differently on the feeder than before. And I think that's mainly because I'm using sunflower hearts. Last time we were here filming, it was loaded with peanuts. Now, I've changed bait for no better reason than the fact that I've ran out of peanuts. But what seems to be happening is, whereas with peanuts they tend to take them one at a time, settle on top of the feeder to nibble away at it and offer me a shot that way, with the sunflower hearts they seem to be actually settling in the trough and feeding away at them still within the trough, and I assume that's because they're just much smaller particles and they don't feel inclined to pick them up one at a time. That was another one that just settled on the feed there. That takes us up to 4. Now, we've not been here in position for much more than an hour now, so it looks like being a slightly more productive session than I'd expected. Now, one thing worth noting is the fact that there's very little wind today, so in one respect there's not much ambient noise to cover up the sound that we're making. Fortunately, and I don't know whether you'll be able to pick up on this on the audio, but we're not very far from a main road, and there is a fair amount of air traffic today, and I think that's just helping a little bit to mask some of the sound that we're making in the absence of the usual ambient noise that I'd expect to get from the wind blowing through the trees. It's really nice to see the wild birds coming to the feeder. Now the first couple of sessions I had here, I hardly saw any, and that's not unusual. But obviously, as I'm shooting more and more squirrels, and that number of bullying grey squirrels is reducing, the songbirds are just getting a bit more confident, and they're now appearing much more frequently at the feeding station. That one was staring dead at us, so I didn't hang around for it to feed, just in case it changed its mind and decided to make a run for it. But the shot absolutely poleaxed it, and for a moment I didn't think it was even going to roll off the top of the feeder. That's how you want your squirrels to drop, like a stone. That was another one that did seem to be aware of us, so I didn't hang around to see whether it was going to feed or run, just went ahead and took the shot. Actually had to wait a bit longer for that chance, so it does seem like things might just be starting to slow down a bit now. Right, well that's all we've got time for on this session, and the squirrels do seem to be less abundant now. That said, I've shot more than I'd expected to, and especially considering how many we've already had from this feeding station. There are still definitely more to be had though, so I'll probably be putting in at least a couple more visits before I move the feeder onto another area. More invasive grey squirrels falling to the FX Impact Mark II there, and no doubt plenty more to follow through the autumn and winter months. Next up, I'm taking a look at a gas ram combo. It's the Ruger Targis Hunter from Umarex.
Check out the great subscription deals for print and digital versions of Airgun Shooter magazine. You won't miss a single issue, even if you can't get to the shops.
When it comes to affordable starter combos, airgun shooters really are spoilt for choice at the moment, and here we've got a really great one. It's the Ruger Targis Hunter from Umarex. Now this really is the complete package. Apart from a full power gas ram airgun, you also get a zoom scope and mounts. Distributed in the UK by John Rothery Wholesale, it has a retail price of just £299.95. This is an adult sized airgun. It's 113 centimetres long and tips the scales at 3.4 kilos before you fit the scope. Length of pull is just over 36 centimetres, and overall proportion and balance feel good. The point of balance actually falls about 10 centimetres in front of the trigger guard, and it's just a very comfortable gun to shoot. The stock is a black synthetic and it feels extremely robust. The butt section is finished with a very grippy rubberized recoil pad, and just in front of that is the stud for attaching the supplied sling. The other attachment point is just beneath the breech and it feels very secure. The pistol grip and long forend both feature grippy rubber inserts. I think these are a great addition. They look good, improve grip and feel really good in the hand. Now the cheek piece has a neat skeletonized section. It's not incredibly high, but it's still plenty high enough to provide decent eye scope alignment when using the supplied low scope mounts. Those mounts attach via a very secure Picatinny type rail, which is actually integral to the stock. Now the supplied scope is very well suited to the gun. It has a 32mm objective lens and a zoom range from 3 to 9 times, which should provide plenty of magnification. Most significantly, it's parallax adjustable down to just 7.5 yards, which is very handy when shooting over typical airgun ranges. The Targis Hunter also comes supplied with fibre optic open sights fitted, which could be fun for backyard plinking. The rear element is adjustable for windage and elevation, and it's very easy to remove if you don't want it in front of the scope. The front element sits within the silencer section. Now I did initially think that was just a cocking aid, but it does seem to provide some sound suppression. This break barrel airgun runs a gas ram power plant, and I have to say that I'm very impressed with it. It's churning out just over 11 foot-pounds, and it's doing it pretty consistently. The cocking stroke is exceptionally smooth, loading straight to the breech is very straightforward, and the lockup feels nice and secure. Cocking the gun engages the automatic safety catch, which is resettable. Now it is a bit close to the trigger for my liking, but there's no denying that it's very easy to access. The gun is safe when it's in the rearward position, and you simply push it forwards when you're ready to take the shot. Affordable airguns can sometimes be let down by their triggers, but that's certainly not the case with this one, and I was actually surprised by just how good it is. I like the design of the blade, which gives plenty of feel, and the action was good straight from the box. The first stage is pretty short, but there's no mistaking the stop point, and the second stage, break point, is clean and very predictable. Now, as you've probably been able to guess by the fact that we're inside, we've actually been forced in by the rain again, so I'm not able to shoot the usual target sequence to show you how accurate this gun is. Now, thankfully, I have been able to put in a few garden sessions with it, and what I can say is that it can churn out half-inch groups at 25 metres, which is pretty good for a break barrel recoiling airgun. In fairness, it's actually got a pretty smooth firing cycle, not as snappy as some gas rams can be, and that very predictable trigger does help when it comes to shooting accurately. Now, the result is that it's a brilliant gun. I've really enjoyed backyard plinking with it, but also being pretty much full power, it's also up to targeting live quarry, probably out to mid-range. So that's the Ruger Targis Hunter, made by Umarex and distributed in the UK by John Rothery Wholesale. Now this gun's available in 177 calibre only. Not a problem as far as I'm concerned, because that's actually my favourite calibre at sub 12 foot-pounds. This airgun is affordable, it's churning out power close to the UK legal limit, and it's also pretty accurate. If you want an airgun that's fun to shoot, requires minimal maintenance, and isn't going to break the bank, then this is certainly one to try.
Look out for the new and improved Airgun Shooter magazine, packed full of technique, gear and insight from some of the best shooters in the industry. Brand new look and free video content. Pick up your copy today in stores or online.
That's all for this week, but as ever, we'll be back again in a fortnight. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And if you aren't already a member of the BASC, have a look at their website and check out the benefits that you could be taking advantage of through Airgun membership.